Yeah, the video just cut off then. I was talking about the woman who after come back and she gave me dictionary. Not many people do what you done there. I said, that it's good to help people. Like I just said to that woman as well. I said, always say to people, if you can do a favour, always hand it on to the next person. And that goes a long way because sometimes, like yourself, you'd have been panicking you would get pick your husband up because he's a pilot. You'd have been panicking. And I can understand that. That's why it gives me a good buzz knowing what I do sometimes to help people out. And sometimes I have a bit of luck. I ain't gonna say it's down to what I do with the luck, because it's like ask reward. But sometimes I think sometimes you get your good days, and when you get good days, it makes up for the bad days, which is good really. So at the end of the day, I love what I do, and I get a buzz of waking up every day, because on one day that won't happen. So what I'm doing here now, I'm going to make the most of this life, and I've always said on most of my videos, in life sometimes you might find it very hard to me the way I talk, because I get used to talking like, because I can't read and write, but my voice breaks up sometimes, and whatever you do, when you listen to it, and it won't make a lot of sense, just carry on listening to this all the way through, and I think no matter how much you can't understand, for the end of this video, I think you'll find which some of these things I do will touch your heart. It's I say to people, don't take the mick out of people, because the way people look, people judge sometimes. You push a person too far, like these love programs. I've said it many times, if you keep pushing somebody that much, somebody will end up committing suicide. I watched another program on telly, and I said to my friend Mark, he's a fortune teller, and I said one day, the way they judge these people, they say some horrible things, and one day, well, this girl I won't say no names, committed suicide, and they said to this certain person, what, when people come in here, if they don't like what I've got to say, we tell them what come on here. What you've got to realise, the mind's a very powerful thing. Some people believe in themselves, but when you put a person on that much, and the family believe there's some truth in what my daughter believes, she is good, and when you put them down that much, they feel when they get come down so hard, it's enough to make a person commit suicide. And you say, why is that? Because they felt like they let their parents down. And as it goes, something did up one day, I can say no names or nothing like that, because it's just letting people know, when you judge people, be careful how you judge, because if you think I'm wrong what I'm saying, carry on doing what you're doing, and how long will it be before somebody else don't commit suicide? Because the mind's a very powerful thing. You keep putting people down, it's like that lab program. I said to mates at the builder's yard, I said, isn't it weird? I said, if people keep judging the way people are and the way they look, he says, it goes, Roger, on that lab program, you know what you just said there? Something did happen where they're taking the mick of this person, and when they kept taking the mick when he left the program, he committed suicide. See, even on that Jeremy show where that person made him feel guilty, he ended up committing suicide. I've always said it, people don't realise when you start putting people down on a lie detector, some of the things could be wrong. And when you put down that much weight for that bad, you'd be surprised. This is the bit where you want to switch off, because there's nothing worse knowing what you just said to that person, and that's enough to make a person commit suicide. You want that to happen, because why? Because when it does, it's too late. So what I'm saying, always remember these words, and it'll make you think about life. Because don't judge a book by the cover, because if you do, you realise you can come unstuck. For the reason why, the mind is a very powerful thing. And at the end of the day, while you're here, make the most. And whatever you do in life, I always believe, don't ask for nothing back in return, you're for real. But there again, we're all different. What I'm saying, I ain't saying I'm right. But it might make you think a little bit different, and it also might make you think about helping other people. Because someone like that is in our world. We all moan about it, we're going through hard trouble, then there's people on the other side of the world who got nothing. And every time we've gone through these hard times in life, do you know what I have to think myself? We are lucky. Why, look what we got everything, and we don't realise, and all we are is moaning because we're having it hard. Do you realise what hard is? When you see people being born suffering, when you see around the world how people are living, going to rubbish tips and surviving off all the rubbish what are tipped into them dump. We're lucky. We are very lucky to get what we got. Because why do people come to this country? We're pretty like this. If you're living in hell, and people what they think lives heaven, I can understand where they come from. But what it is, they all come over here. Some of the people, you see a lot of the car washing people, not bad mate English, it's other people doing the work, because a lot of English people got it so good, it's unbelievable where I'm coming from. So when you think of life and how hard things are, you want to think twice, and every time you think it's going wrong and you're going through hard times, this is what I say to you. Look around and think how lucky you are. You look above your head, you got a roof above your head in the air. Some people got nothing. People moan, they got hardly no clothes. We've got to think, God, if we get that hard, I don't think about it, I'll go down and we get try and get through. They knock us back, but they ain't the end of the world. There's other ways, because there is one country in the world they never see you starve. And the way this world goes, people have been, I know, some have been handed down loads of shops and everything, loads of money. Now that girl, that man knew, looking down from the sky, what's happened to her daughter, that would break his heart, knowing he'd give all his wealth and all what's happened now, she might spend the rest of her life in prison now, because something's happened which I won't go into, because you know, you can't talk about them sort of things, it could be wrong or right. But if people could only see, looking down, what money can do to people, or think they want to give it away or burn it, could make no mistake. Money sometimes, it puts you in a position where you are, and when it's all gone, have a look around. What you see? I see nothing. No one wants to know that. Ain't it weird? When you've got all that money, and you're so desperate someone knowing what you've had the world, this desperate, you'd be surprised what people would do when they get that desperate. That is, I switch off on that bit, because at the end of the day, it's all one big game, and people don't realise that at the end of this game, we all end up with nothing. And if I was a very rich person, I'd like to give a lot away to the third world. Why? Because I think, like, what about this country? We've got a lot of poor. Yeah, but there's poor and poor. There's people got absolutely nothing. We've got a little bit. They've got nothing. And something like Bill Gates, he leaves millions to the poor. He does a lot, which is good. Michael Jackson, when he's a lot, look what he used to do. He done well. And when you think of all the things I've just mentioned on, I think if Michael Jackson was alive, I think if you asked him, would you want that man to go to prison, the doctor gets charged. They had a secret, that doctor, Michael Jackson, and the secret was not to say, because he knew if he never gave Michael Jackson what he wanted, Michael Jackson's got the money and the power to get off with somebody else. They had a bombing there too, and because he's so used to having it and he kept him going, he kept wanting it and he wanted it, and he pushed the body to the limit. He done that himself, all right? The doctor might have given it, but if he never get, he would have got it off of somebody else. I think if Michael Jackson was alive, to come back from the grave, and you said to Michael, is it right to send that man to prison? I'm pretty certain Michael Jackson would turn around and say, I don't want him to go to prison. I done it, and if he never get me, he would turn around and say at the end of the day, or if he did, I'll get off somebody else. Because they all take the blame. Listen, I think in that room, there's a bond between two people. And then two people, Michael Jackson and that doctor. That doctor done what he wanted to do, because he been doing it for so long, and his body kept taking it all the time, he felt better. But we all know at the end of the day, the body can only stand so much. Well, Michael Jackson let it go that far, he didn't have to. Even if he didn't give it, he'd have got it from somewhere else. And all what he went through, the pressures of life and all them uppers and downers, whatever way you look at it, you cannot put all the blame onto that doctor. But people are, because Michael Jackson was a very famous person and have somebody to blame. Whereas when you look at Michael, you want to look at everybody, the family, the doctor and everybody. To blame one, you've got to blame them all. Because he was there like a machine, pumping money into the family and all that. And then when you hear the story, what he said, which I can't talk about, you think to yourself, and I think at the end of the day, what they done to that doctor was wrong. And also, I think in the McCann case, one day, that will solve itself. Because I believe somebody will get the blame, and might be years to come, realise it wasn't that person. Because there's certain people in the area who are pitiful, because sometimes in life, we don't like to admit certain things, like, cause it's a very, very sad thing when something happens, and we give all the money in the world to put it right. But when it goes wrong, we all make mistakes. But listen, I'm not going to say they have made mistakes, because me to say that is, I ain't blaming them. What I do know, when that kid, wherever that kid is, wherever that kid's gone, it'd be nice that that kid have a better peace of mind, knowing the real people behind it is admitted to it. Because only them people commit, because other people might be getting the blame. And if they're getting the blame of other people, I want them people, before they leave this whole planet, to remember what they've done with them was sad thing, because they could be right, he might be guilty. But if you ain't guilty and the people know who really are the people behind it, they ought to think about this, because at the end of the day, that little child, things happen in life, and that little child would like the truth to come out. That is coming from my heart, and that child would love the truth, because it might be the truth, but they might have caught the person. And when they did catch a person, the real people do know what's behind it, are the people who actually caused it. But that is something you can't go into too deep. Let the people admit to it, because who is real, because somebody else could take the blame, hand it down to somebody else. It's a very sad story. And that little child, in that, wherever that child is, well, it'd be heartbreak for the child. Because sometimes in life we'll make mistakes, so they did make mistakes. But if things do happen in life, isn't it good for them, the people, the real people behind it, to admit to it? And that takes a lot of guts and arm. Because I know there's a policeman over that now, for over 15 years, trying to solve this case. And if he does solve it, and they do get the person, that's good. But let's hope 100% it is the right person. Because sometimes, I won't want to say when they do find it, but it might not be the person. They might find him guilty, but is he the guilty one? No one knows that. The only people know are the people who are behind that child death. Because it was a lovely little child, and it's nice to know that in life it takes a lot of guts for somebody to admit to something when they know that they're guilty of certain things, but they can't, because they are to do that. They got the only people got that reason, which I can't go into, because it's like pointing the finger. So I won't do that, because it's not right. But let's hope everything for that little girl's sake. I hope one day the real people got who behind it, one or two or three, whoever it is, admit to it, because that'd be a peace of mind for that child. Because if I hand it on to somebody else, that'd be a very sad world. Well, I'm going to leave it at that now, because I'm getting a bit tired now. And plus the voice as well, I've got a bit of a cold. I'll say good night, but don't forget, listen to what I've got to say. If it don't make sense, go on to the next one, and go on. And when you finish all the videos what I've done, you might like some of the things in it. This is called, I'm going to name this video, The Power of God, and if it's coming from the art, and in life, don't ask for nothing back in return, because you've got it, and you won't go far wrong. And if you can listen to these words, wherever you go and whatever you do, if you listen to these couple of words, well, it's better say now, if you can accept life, it goes wrong before you accept it, you won't go far wrong. Because if you think I'm wrong, and it does go wrong, what you think, what he said is right. If we can expect it, no matter what it is, because it could be marriage, it could be anything, what he's saying, because I've been through that. I've been married, divorced, but I don't mind, because I accept before he met him. And it does happen for lots of different reasons, for what we're doing to the planet, and where we all come from, and what we all done to get here. Because up there, there's other planets and other people. Who knows what's going to happen? But the way this world's going, we're all living on borrowed time, because I think if we make many mistakes now, mankind will be wiped off this earth. There'll be no more human race. And then you think what we're doing, where you can't take them clocks back, because once you press them buttons, or what happens in this life, that's the world finished, and there'll be no more human race, and all your family and all the people you love in the world, you'll never ever see that again in life, because the planet has been wiped off. Because we've had a chance, I don't know what chance we've had, we are destroying the planet. Because I think there's people up there looking down, just waiting for the right time, and who knows when that's going to be. But that, I don't want to go on about too much about that. But I'm going to say good night now. I know I said good night earlier. So please listen to what I have to say. You might find it hard, but remember, some things will touch your heart. The power of mind is a very powerful thing. And you can see through life when I'm right. Some of these love programs you see. And then you see things happen. And you call that man said that was and it's happened. But listen, it's up to you what you believe in. But I'll say good night now. and all the best to the world, because no one knows when it's going to end.